A voice silenced. The detention of Sami Hamdi. In a world where freedom of speech is often taken for granted, the sudden detention of a prominent commentator sends shockwaves through both media and political circles. Sami Hamdi, a British political commentator and managing editor of the International Interest, is known for his outspoken views on Middle East politics. His work has made him a recognizable figure among those who follow international affairs, especially issues relating to the Arab world. He frequently appears on international news channels, offering sharp critiques of Western foreign policy and Israeli government actions. His analysis is often sought after for its depth and willingness to challenge mainstream narratives. His supporters see him as a courageous truth-teller, unafraid to speak out on controversial topics, while his critics accuse him of supporting extremist groups and spreading divisive rhetoric. This week, Hamdi arrived in the U.S. for a speaking tour organized by CAIR, aiming to engage American audiences on issues like the Israel-Hamas conflict. The tour was seen as an opportunity to foster dialogue and present alternative viewpoints. He had already spoken at an event in California, with more appearances planned nationwide. Organizers hoped his talks would spark meaningful conversations and encourage critical thinking about U.S. foreign policy. The tour was billed as a chance for dialogue on human rights and foreign policy, especially for those who feel such perspectives are missing from mainstream media. Many attendees were eager to hear voices that challenge the status quo. However, Hamdi's past statements, some interpreted as praise for Hamas, have made him a controversial figure, leading to bans at certain venues. These controversies have followed him, casting a shadow over his public appearances. These controversies followed him to the U.S., creating a charged atmosphere around his visit. Security was heightened, and both supporters and detractors gathered at his events. Supporters anticipated his talks as vital for free speech and open debate, while critics warned of his influence and potential to incite unrest. The stage was set for a dramatic turn in his American journey. As tensions mounted and the nation watched closely, what happened next would ignite a national debate about free speech, security, and the boundaries of public discourse in America. The turning point for Sami Hamdi's American tour came suddenly. After a successful event in Sacramento, Hamdi headed to San Francisco International Airport, bound for Florida. As he prepared to board his flight, U.S. immigration authorities intervened. ICE agents detained him, revoking his visa on the spot and halting his tour. News of his detention spread rapidly, shocking supporters and event organizers. Hamdi was held in an ICE facility, cut off from communication, and his legal team struggled to reach him. The remaining events were canceled, leaving audiences and organizers in confusion. The abrupt action transformed his visit from a speaking tour into an international incident. The speed and secrecy of the detention raised immediate questions. Was this about security or silencing a controversial voice? The U.S. government's next move would set the tone for the unfolding controversy. The world was watching. Confusion swirled after Hamdi's detention, as travelers and onlookers tried to make sense of the sudden high-profile arrest. The atmosphere at the airport was tense, with rumors spreading quickly and uncertainty hanging in the air. But the U.S. government soon clarified its stance, holding a press conference to address the growing public concern and international attention. The Department of Homeland Security issued a statement. Hamdi was detained on national security grounds, citing the need to protect the country from potential threats. Spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin declared, "Those who support terrorism and undermine American national security will not be allowed to work or visit this country." Her words were firm, signaling a zero-tolerance approach. The administration framed the move as a protective measure, not a response to political speech, emphasizing that national security must come first in uncertain times. U.S. immigration law gives broad authority to deny entry for suspected security threats, especially non-citizens. This power is often exercised with little public explanation, leaving many in the dark. No specific evidence was made public, only the assertion of risk. The details behind the decision remained classified, fueling further questions. Supporters called it a pretext to silence dissent. They argued that the government was using security as a cover to suppress voices it found inconvenient. Critics cited Hamdi's past remarks as justification, pointing to his outspoken views as evidence of potential risk, even as others saw this as guilt by association. The lack of transparency fueled speculation and debate, with media outlets and commentators questioning the true motives behind the detention. Was this a necessary security step, or a crackdown on free expression? The nation found itself divided, with passionate arguments on both sides. The government's word was final, but the reasoning remained opaque. Officials refused to elaborate, citing ongoing investigations and national security protocols. The controversy deepened, with both sides demanding answers. Public demonstrations grew, and the issue became a rallying point for activists and commentators alike. The case became a flashpoint in the national security versus free speech debate, raising urgent questions about the balance between safety and liberty in America. CAIR, the sponsor of Hamdi's tour, responded with immediate outrage. They condemned the detention, demanding his release and visa reinstatement. CAIR's legal team mobilized, challenging the government's actions and highlighting the lack of access to Hamdi. The organization framed the case as an attack on free speech, not just immigration law. They argued Hamdi was targeted for his criticism of Israel and U.S. foreign policy, not for any real security threat. CAIR warned that silencing Hamdi sent a chilling message to all critics of U.S. and Israeli policies. The group positioned the case as a test of American democracy and the right to dissent. They drew attention to the broader crackdown on pro-Palestinian advocacy in the U.S. For CAIR, this was about more than one man. It was about defending the right to speak out. The battle lines were drawn. Conservative activists had been tracking Hamdi's visit long before his detention. Social media campaigns called for his removal, labeling him a propagandist for terrorism. Laura Loomer, a prominent activist, led the charge, urging the Trump administration to deport Hamdi. Loomer posted videos of Hamdi's speeches, tagging officials and amplifying pressure. When Hamdi was detained, Loomer claimed credit, celebrating the move as a victory for her activism. Her campaign highlighted the influence of political pressure on government decisions. The case became a rallying point for those seeking to limit platforms for controversial foreign speakers. The government cited national security, but the activist campaign was impossible to ignore. The intersection of social media, politics, and immigration enforcement was on full display. The episode raised questions about how much public campaigns can shape official action. The debate over Hamdi's detention was now a partisan battleground. Hamdi's detention reflects a broader shift under Trump's renewed presidency. The administration has intensified immigration enforcement with a focus on security and deportation. Visa applicants now face heightened scrutiny, including social media vetting for extremist views. Criticism of U.S. allies, especially Israel, is increasingly treated as a security concern. Pro-Palestinian advocacy has led to visa denials and deportations, especially since the Israel-Hamas war began. Deportation rates have soared, with thousands removed daily. Hamdi's case is a high-profile example of a policy that leaves little room for dissenting voices. The backdrop to Hamdi's detention is the ongoing Israel-Gaza conflict. The war, sparked by Hamas's attack on Israel in October 2023, has led to massive casualties and humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Israel's military response has drawn both support and condemnation worldwide. The U.S. stands firmly with Israel, while critics accuse Israel of disproportionate force and even genocide. A recent UN inquiry accused Israel of genocide, a charge Israel denies. Hamdi's commentary focuses on this conflict, fiercely criticizing Israel and U.S. support. His language is polarizing, seen by some as advocacy, by others as incitement. The deep divisions over the conflict are mirrored in the debate over Hamdi's right to speak. For supporters, he's a voice for justice. For critics, a dangerous agitator. The conflict's intensity amplifies every word and action. Hamdi's case is a microcosm of global tensions. Hamdi's case pits national security against freedom of speech, igniting a debate that strikes at the core of American values. The tension between protecting the nation and upholding individual rights is as old as the country itself, but rarely does it play out so publicly. The government argues it must bar those who pose a threat, citing Hamdi's alleged support for Hamas. Officials claim that in a world of evolving dangers, swift action is necessary to prevent harm, even if it means restricting certain freedoms. Supporters counter that his detention is an overreach, punishing political speech and setting a troubling example for others who might speak out. They argue that dissent, even when unpopular, is a cornerstone of democracy. The debate is complicated by Hamdi's status as a non-citizen, with fewer legal protections and limited avenues for appeal. This raises questions about fairness and equal treatment under the law. U.S. law gives broad discretion to exclude foreign nationals deemed risky, allowing authorities to act on suspicion rather than proof. This power, critics say, can be easily abused. Critics warn that using security as a pretext to silence dissent sets a dangerous precedent, eroding the very freedoms the country seeks to protect. They fear a slippery slope toward broader censorship. Supporters of free speech insist that open debate, even on controversial topics, is vital for democracy. They believe that only through discussion can society address its deepest challenges. The case raises questions about where to draw the line between incitement and legitimate dissent, and who gets to decide. Legal experts warn that these decisions shape the boundaries of public discourse. The government's stance is clear, but the principle of free expression remains fiercely defended by activists, lawyers, and ordinary citizens alike. The tension between safety and liberty is at the heart of the controversy, forcing the nation to confront difficult questions about its identity and priorities. Hamdi's detention forces a reckoning with these competing values as families and communities grapple with the real-life consequences of these policies. The outcome will echo far beyond this single case, shaping the future of civil liberties and national security for years to come. Sami Hamdi's detention is more than a headline. It's a test of American values. Was he a genuine threat or a victim of political suppression? The Trump administration cites security. Civil liberties groups see an assault on free speech. Conservative activists' influence adds another layer to the debate. The case unfolds amid stricter immigration policies and a divisive international conflict. At its core, do we protect ourselves by silencing controversial voices, or does that erode the freedoms we claim to defend? The answer isn't simple, but the questions are urgent. Hamdi's story is a stark reminder of the delicate balance between security and liberty.